Certainly do appreciate you joining us on this live stream. I'm Dave Lapham, and we are in the studios that First Star Logistics provides for us, and they're extraordinary, as is First Star Logistics. And we thought we'd do a little bit of a live stream with you here to catch up on what's been going on in free agency. The draft is coming up. We can hit that a little bit if you want to go in that direction as well. But right in the throes of free agency, and there's been a lot of activity, obviously, for the Cincinnati Bengals. None more so than the two stud wide receivers reportedly agreeing to terms to remain with the Cincinnati Bengals. And what great news, because you have Jamar Chase, 25 years old, T. Higgins, 27 years old, right in the sweet spot of the prime of their careers. And the Bengals have them both for reportedly another 4 years for a lot of money, like 275 plus million or something like that between those two contracts. And, you know, whenever you have contracts to that extent, they're never cap friendly, obviously. I mean, that would be tough to say, but they've been earned and they are deserved. There's no doubt about it. And the Cincinnati Bengals have done a really good job with their cap, only $6 million in dead money. They can afford to these contracts, and they're working for Trey Hendrickson as well. And I think with Trey, I mean, he's got years left on his deal, just like Jamar. You know, you can start this year's salary can be the first year of the new contract, or it can just be an extension of the contract. Jamar can basically the salary for this year can be what's part of the contract, but you get upfront money, and that's what the Bengals do a good job of. They spend the cash up front instead of deferring money with these crazy deals that nobody's going to live up to. I mean, the teams are already in free agency. It's littered with veteran players that can still play, but the teams have let them go, not because of their skill level, it's because their cap hit is too much. They can't afford it in the cap. I mean, it was a ludicrous deal. It was a backloaded deal. It looks great. I mean, it's something that can be talked about at cocktail parties. Oh, yeah, I gave this guy $1 gazillion. But the reality of it is, how much of it is real? You know, is it going to be fulfilled? And that's the thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. They don't experience the hangover after that celebration party at the cocktail party when the deal is signed, because down the road, there's going to be a hangover. And as the years go on, the hangover is going to get worse, not better. You know, when you drink too much, the hangover is bad, but then it gets better. This case, the hangover is bad and it gets worse. And ultimately, players are let go and they can still play the game of football. You know, there's multiple examples going on in the National Football League right now. Let's start with the world champion, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, congratulations, and legitimately congratulations. They won the Super Bowl, and that's the goal. But they're feeling a little bit of effect, like a post-mortem to the Super Bowl, in that they're $60 million over the cap, and basically they've had to let half their defense go. So, I mean, will they be able to retool? And, I mean, they haven't been able to do much. I mean, teams I know have reached out to the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of free agency and trades and things of that nature, and they really can't do much because they're in cap hell. Again, they won the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. You achieved the ultimate goal that everybody wants to do, and that's win a Super Bowl. So I'm not going to be too tough on the Philadelphia Eagles, but in so doing, they kind of back themselves into a little bit of a cap corner as such. You know, another team that has not handled the cap all that well it is let me start that again. Another team in the NFC that has not handled the cap all that well, the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, they've lost some really good players. Banks, Greenlaw. You know, they have $66 million of dead money to the salary cap. 60 for Philadelphia, 66 for San Francisco. It puts them in a quandary. They can't really do much, and you're stuck. You're in salary cap hell as such. Another NFC team that has some salary cap issues. The Atlanta Falcons. They signed Cousins at quarterback. They signed Jesse Bates at the safety position. Paid big money, and their cap got out of whack. They've had 6 straight losing seasons in what most people argue is the easiest division in the National Football League. So, you know, the thing that you strive to do is to have level cap counts. The Cincinnati Bengals do a pretty good job of making sure that they don't find themselves in cap hell. Their contract philosophy is bonus dollars up front for players, and players like that. Instead of deferring that money, however many years down the road, or never getting that money that's going to be deferred however many years down the road, you get that money up front. And I would think your representation and you as a player would like to have that money to invest, to do something with. By the time the contract's done 3-4 years down the road, you made some good bit of money on that upfront money, which is usually pretty significant. The Bengals will pay that cash up front in terms of bonuses, and there's multiple ways you can handle bonuses, and there's multiple ways that they count against the cap, and it's real complicated. There's no question about that. You have to. Katie Brown is good with salary cap. Katie Blackburn, I should say, is as good with salary cap as anybody in the National Football League. I mean, she's a capologist. No, there's no doubt. And the way you handle that bonus money is definitely a factor. There's no question. There's all different types of signing bonuses. There is a signing bonus. There's a reporting bonus. There's a roster bonus. There's a performance bonus. And there are some different categories for those. So, how much of that is deferred in the cap? How much of it can you prorate over the life of the contract? How much do you have to bite in that first year? Let's do an example. Let's say that you have a 4-year deal, and there's a $30 million signing bonus involved in that 4-year deal, just to make the numbers a little bit easier. In that 4-year deal, you decide to split that $30 million bonus, and that bonus becomes a $20 million signing bonus that's going to be amortized over 4 years. You can do that with a signing bonus, amortize it over the years of the contract. That's $5 million a year. That's a cap hit. And then you have a $10 million roster bonus. So that first year, your $10 million roster bonus, a $5 million signing bonus, that's $15 million. The salary is going to be very low. So then the next year, that's year one. Say it's a little over $15 million. So then in year two, you have a $5 million bonus that was on that deferral on the signing bonus that's amortized over 4 years, and then you can bump that salary up. So what you're trying to do is have level cap counts, and if you're going to keep your salary cap, in a good frame, that's the thing to do, is keep that as level as you possibly can. These huge deals with poor structure. They're ego deals. It's a tough scenario. And like I said, Trey Hendrickson, he's got a viable contract in place. I think would not shock me if Trey Hendrickson agrees to something potentially where he gets another big kiss in terms of today's dollars, a big bonus to take care of. All right, I feel like I'm underpaid. Okay, this year we'll sweeten the pot for you with a signing bonus. And then, that can be deferred, and we'll give you an extended contract for 3 years or whatever the case may be. Now you can kick that bonus, defer it, and slide it down the road a little bit. Trey gets the money up front. You get to defer it and keep your cap in place where you're not in salary cap hell, and everybody's happy. So add to the value of the contract short term, fair compensation in future years, and both parties can live with it. It's that's one way to handle it with Trey, because he still is under contract, as was Jamar Chase. But here's the thing: the Bengals are in good enough salary cap position to do that with players that are already under contract. Now, T. Higgins, obviously, he got his deal. He was on a franchise tag. He was tagged $26.2 million, and his deal, well over $100 million reportedly. But he was already on the books for $26.2 million this year. I'm sure the structure of the contract, they're going to get relief from that. They're not going to be spending $26.2 million this year on T. Higgins, I wouldn't think. I'd be surprised if that's the case. They could. They've already got it accounted for that way. But we'll see. Again, these contracts, you look at these numbers, and they're staggering. I mean, they're shocking. what you have to realize is that there's terms and conditions involved. and what is the true deal? How much money will that player, how much money do they get up front? And that's where the Bengals shine. The Bengals believe in cash up front as opposed to deferral. So, I mean, if you have an exact same contract and the dollars in terms of dollars, and you get the cash up front on one and you get a backloaded deferral salaries on the other, which one are you going to take? The players love that cash up front. I think the Bengals are handling it pretty intelligently that way. And again, they found themselves in a salary cap position to be able to do that and to lock up two of the best receivers in the National Football League, arguably as good a dynamic duo as there is in the league throwing the football. And when you think about it, Joe Burrow is back. Jamar Chase is back. T. Higgins is back. They also got a contract done with Mike Gesicki. He's back at the tight end position to take advantage in the middle of the football field in some cases. You know, a lot of times he's involved as wide receiver in packages and formations as well. I mean, three massive components for Joe Burrow in the passing game are back, who maybe would not have been. But the team stepped to the table and get all three of them back, and two of them reportedly back. You got to figure that at this point, they're going to be back. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals for getting those deals done. And, you know, I think also for everybody involved, T. Higgins probably could have gotten more money than he's ended up signing for here in Cincinnati if he had decided, you know, I'm gonna go play the market and I'm gonna see what's out there. I think T. Higgins made a great decision, though. I think he's sounds like he's being fairly compensated. He's content with it. His representation is content with it. And let's face it, when you have the same representation for both the players, like Chase and Higgins did, a lot of people think, oh, boy, that's a negative. Others thought, that could be a positive. It turned out to be pretty good. You know, both both players got contracts they're happy with. The representation is getting their cut of the money. They're happy. They have a double dip in that regard. And honestly, you know, I think, you know, Jamar got reportedly at that $40 million a year range contract value. T. Higgins close to in the 20s, well into the 20s. So you figure if you're at a franchise tag of 26.2, you're going to have to have it make some sense. You don't want to necessarily look at it as, well, I'm taking less money in the first year. So with the bonus and salary involved, I'm sure he's not. But from an actuarial or accounting perspective, from a salary cap perspective, probably going to the books less money. So both parties are happy. And like I said, T, in his mind, I think the value of staying with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I talk about a lot, the legacy that you leave. And, you know, as a former player, you know, being part of Super Bowl 16 is a big deal. It's a big deal to, you know, we didn't win it, but we got there. It was the first time the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl. You know, there's a lot of reasons to be proud about that 1981-82 season and the teammates you make bonds with. You're going to be friends with the rest of your life, and you're going to have bonds with the rest of your life. And I'm sure Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, let's run it back. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's do it some more. So, I mean, they're looking at 24, 25, 26, 27. Looking at those okay, let's start next year with a contract, 25, 26, 27, 28. Both T and Jamar signed 4-year deals reportedly. I mean, they could put up Joe Burrow's going to be under contract. They could put up numbers that are crazy. They put up crazy numbers last year. I mean, when you look at it, they combined for 200 catches, 2,619 yards, and 27 touchdowns. That's the production that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins had. Of Joe Burrow's 4,918 yards, 2,619 came from those two guys. And 43 touchdowns, 27 of the 43 touchdowns came from those two guys. So they're going to put up crazy numbers. Crazy. You know, Mike Gesicki is going to put up crazy numbers again. And at some point, when they're done playing and down the road, they come back to a reunion or they catch up with each other wherever they might be all over the world. They're all world travelers. I mean, it's like, yeah, man, do you remember 2024? That was sick, wasn't it? I mean, that was a heck of a year. Unfortunately, we didn't make the playoffs, but it set the table. And look at what we did the next few years. And man, it was just an unbelievable time in our lives, both professionally and personally. And that's the thing. These guys are not only close professionally, I mean, they're very, very close. They're extremely close personally as well. They're all great friends. So why break it up? Man, you know, how much is enough? And maybe somebody gave a little bit. Maybe the representation gave a little bit. Maybe each of the players gave a little bit. Maybe a player gave a little bit more than another player. Whatever the case may be, it got done. And a deal is done. And everybody is happy with it. And now, time to go out and play. Can't wait to see what unfolds there. Because Jamar Chase is coming off a Triple Crown. I mean, you know, we're talking sick numbers that Jamar Chase put up last year. 127 catches, 1,708 yards, 17 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? 73 catches, 911 yards, 10 touchdowns. And I had T at 27. I think he's 26, 25 and 26 years old. Future's bright. Joe Burrow, obviously in the prime of his career as well. Mike Gesicki, he's the old blood. He's pushing 30, old blood of the group, but he can still get it done. He's still very, very effective. He's got years left in the tank, believe me. It's going to be exciting to watch these guys. I know you've got a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions on it. Let's get to it. Let's see what everybody thinks about what has taken place here in terms of free agency. Before we do, though, let's do a free agency rundown. How about if we do that, Dave? Just
let me do this real quick. Let's get some shout outs.
Okay.
So our regulars. So Yash is over in England. He's on board. Dolores is on board. Natty Ron is here. Cliff is here. Good to see Strawberry Ice, Sports with Strawberry Ice on the live stream today. And let's see, my Mrs. Dan the Man is here. So, I mean, a lot of our regulars for our live streams, we always appreciate when they come on. And we can't say enough about First Star Logistics and Lap. I have to mention this. April 25th, Friday, April 25th, the second day of the NFL draft for the third consecutive year, the First Star Logistics live stream of the draft party, the second day of the draft. A lot of special guests. Not want to give any secrets away of who's going to be on there yet. We're lining up some very special guests. If you didn't get a ticket, because we're doing this at the Handlebar at Great American Ballpark like we did the first year, you're going to miss out. But you can watch it on the live stream only on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. And we will have giveaways at the event live and also for those who are watching online. So we've got to make sure we stress that. Again, Friday night, April 25th. After everything that's happened over the last couple of days, you have to get excited now about the draft. And I'll let you get back to the free agency. I still have a couple more comments I want to make about everything that led up to these guys getting ready to sign these big deals.
Yeah, Dave, I appreciate that. And, you know, that draft party is going to be off the hook. I mean, that's the lifeblood of the franchise. That's the second and third round. I mean, you're talking about, you know, some good football players. T. Higgins was the first pick in the second round. Of course, Jamar Chase was a first-round pick. He was a day one pick. But T. Higgins was a day two pick. All right, so the Bengals historically in free agency, their philosophy has been, all right, as an organization, we draft well. We believe in that draft process. Even back to the days of Paul Brown, the lifeblood of the franchise was draft and develop. E². Draft players, work with them, get them better, and develop them. And that's what they feel like makes a good franchise. They feel like they have a good roster. They feel like they want to retain a lot of the players they drafted, and they did. And with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase in the fold as two veteran guys, those are huge signings, obviously. I mean, you talk about keeping your own. You're talking about keeping two Pro Bowl level players of your own. And again, Joe Burrow's already under contract for a long-term time frame. B.J. Hill, they bring back. In a lot of cases, I've seen him number one in some lists at defensive tackle that NFL experts have. No lower than 3 in a lot of them, 1, 2, and 3. I mean, he's very, very valued, highly thought of. Bengals bring him back for 3 years. Mike Gesicki, we talked about, the Bengals bring him back for 3 years. B.J. Hill, 3 years, $33 million. Mike Gesicki, 3 years, $25.5. I think Mike Gesicki took a hometown discount as well to be part of the scenario and left money on the table that he could be used to make sure that both of these receivers came back. I think that's why Mike Gesicki is so excited that the deal was done with both of these receivers, because I think he structured a organizational friendly deal to try to make sure that he could do his part to help in that regard. Joseph Osai, they brought back for 1 year and $7 million. Cody Ford, they brought him back 2 years for $6 million. Now, all these veteran players and all the ones that we've already talked about, including T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase can line up anywhere on the football field. Position versatility and flexibility was huge, huge. Because Jamar can play anywhere. T can play multiple spots. B.J. Hill can play 3 technique, nose tackle, kick out to defensive end if needed. Joseph Osai can play on both sides of the football and rush the passer. Mike Gesicki can line up at the end of the line of scrimmage as a tight end. He can flex. He can line up, flex into the a little bit off of that end of the line of scrimmage into the slot. He can play a slot receiver. He can play a bunch receiver. He can do a lot of things. Cody Ford can play all 5 offensive line positions and be a big tight end on short yardage and goal line scenarios. Samaje Perine, they brought back. But these initially of their own, re-signing their own, pretty impressive. And then Samaje Perine, who has position versatility as well in terms of everything he can do. And he's not only a great runner, he can catch the heck out of the football, and his pass protection, blitz pickup and everything has really grown. I mean, he's legit excellent in terms of protecting Joe Burrow. Oren Burks, they just got a contract signed with him from Philadelphia, linebacker. This is 8 years in the league, signed him to a 2-year deal. TJ Slayton from the Green Bay Packers. He signed a couple of years, $15 million. So they've also signed additional players of their own. Marco Wilson, they got under contract. Tanner Hudson, Ryan Rico, Cal Adamitis, Jackson Kirkland, Cam Grandy, and then Cam Sample. They got him back again, and he had a very tough year last year due to injury. I'm telling you, this guy has shown big potential. You can work with him a little bit. Now, those are the guys that you've gotten. Now, guys that you lost, Sam Hubbard retired. They waived Alex Kappa, and they waived Sheldon Rankins. They terminated their contracts, but they got picked up, Alex Kappa, right away by the Las Vegas Raiders, and here recently Sheldon Rankins with the Houston Texans. Khalil Herbert went to Indianapolis, so they lost him. Akeem Davis-Gaither went to Arizona, so they lost him. So they really only lost 2 players that they probably had some designs for, but they decided they signed deals elsewhere. And then they also terminated their arrangement with Mike Hilton. He's out there. Who knows? Maybe he'll be back, or he'll obviously sign elsewhere as a veteran free agent. But guys that are still out there for the Bengals in terms of unrestricted free agents, Joe Bocci's out there, Von Bell, Trent Brown. Going to be interesting to see what they do with him. How is he coming along physically? He's had some issues with that knee. Chris Evans, Deontay Smith, Jay Tufele, Travion Henderson, and Cade York. Cade York, the place kicker that's on the exclusive rights free agent list. I don't think that the Bengals are going to have any designs in that regard. So, I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals continue to feel like in free agency, make sure you bring back your own, and then from there, see what you got and move forward. In a perfect world, I think we'd all like to see them address the guard position and the defensive tackle position, get a little fortification there. And then if there's an edge rusher, go for the gusto there as well. And if it doesn't happen in free agency, those are obviously targets in the draft as well. But for the most part, this football team has a lot of areas tidied up pretty well. Everybody needs something, and the Cincinnati Bengals are no exception. So what do you think, Dave? Should we
give me 1 second here?
All right.
I'm typing something up to run here.
Okie doke. So it will be interesting to see. There's a secondary market in free agency now. Some of the deals out there, the initial deals in free agency. Obviously, Myles Garrett played the Cleveland Browns ownership like a drum. He got himself 40. Jamar Duke Tobin went on record as saying that Jamar Chase was going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League, and the Cleveland Browns gave Myles Garrett $40 million. So the Bengals gave Jamar Chase a little bit more.
All right.
Reported $161 million for 4 years. We'll see.
Running a reminder there. Cliff asked what time. That draft party, the live stream, will start at 7 p.m. on Friday, April 25th. And it'll go until about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, somewhere in there, depending on how things play out as far as the Bengals picks. And again, we'll be at Great American Ballpark at the Handlebar and live streamed only exclusively on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, brought to you only by some great people at First Star Logistics. Lap. All righty, let's get to it. We'll go to Dan the Man first.
Okay.
Signing Jamar and T is huge, but offense wasn't our problem last year. How does our D get measurably better this year? Lap, what do we need to see happen to challenge the Ratbirds?
Well, yeah, obviously Trey Hendrickson is a big deal. You don't want to let the guy that led the National Football League in sacks this past season with 17.5, that's got 35 sacks over the last 2 years. You get him in a trade from the New Orleans Saints, and he develops into a superstar. He's an edge rush superstar. There's no question about it. So you definitely want to keep him. Keeping your own is obviously a big factor that, like we talked about, and they already they re-signed B.J. Hill. I think that helps. The development of the two interior young defensive tackles taken in the second and third round last year, I think will take place. I think Jenkins has big potential, and again, sometimes you have to. The players from year one to year two. I can vouch for the fact that from my rookie year to my second year was a big growth year. It's like you really don't know what to expect. You don't know what you don't know when you're a rookie, and then you find out. And now year two, you come back, and it's a different ball game, a little bit different situation. Environmentally, you're a lot more comfortable. You feel like you learned some things that can really help your level of play. And usually there's a jump from year one to year two. So any of the players, offense, defense, or special teams, year one to year two, you can anticipate the graph going up. With that said, they got to get a more consistent pass rush from others besides Trey Hendrickson, and any way they can add to that mix would be helpful. And obviously play the run better. They did not do a good enough job of staying in their gaps, getting off blocks, and making plays. Al Golden, Jerry Montgomery up front with the defensive line. There's a new coaching staff, a new configuration, schematic. There'll be some similarities to what Lou Anarumo did defensively, I'm sure, last year, and differences as well. And that's a factor. What will the new coaching staff bring to the table? What will their demands be on the players? Will they utilize the players differently than they were utilized the prior year? These are all questions that will be addressed at the appropriate time. But there's two things that need to happen. Number one, get more players that can play at the National Football League level. And number two, those players go out there. It's not all on the coaches. Once they tell you to do something, you got to do it. If you're supposed to two gap and take a guy on down the middle and play either gap on the opposite side, outside of that particular player, and you decide you're going to freelance, you're just going to shoot this one gap, and the hell with what I'm supposed to do by taking on that guy on and being able to play both ways, you decide you're going to try to be a hero and shoot the gap and try to make a play, more times than not, for every time you make a play, there's a bunch of times where you're hurting your football team. And usually these offenses find ways to they figure out who made the mistake and how it was made, and it gets abused on that snap. I mean, it's incredible how these talented in football, physically talented and high-level football IQ players will see that there's a weak spot there, a soft spot there. Was that either by getting dominated by my teammate, or did they vacate an area of responsibility that they were supposed to play? In either case, I'm going right there. And there was too much of that. I'm not saying that there weren't times where the opponents played a better level of football. There were. But there were also times where did not do what you were supposed to do when you were supposed to do it. Very simple. I mean, if all 11 players, if all 11 guys fulfill their area of responsibility, how they're supposed to do it, when they're supposed to do it, the results will be very, very sound, no matter what scheme you're playing. So, yeah, need to get better players, but you need to get players that are committed to fulfilling their responsibility and not tempted by freelancing.
Lab, let me ask you this, because this is the question I had. If we would have gone back to last Thursday, Bengals fans thought the world was coming to an end. They were worried about what's the future. T. Higgins, what's the future? Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase. What are Bengals going to miss their window to have an opportunity to win the franchise's first Super Bowl? Is a lot of that now because you have social media, things like X and Facebook and Instagram and all these other areas, and so many people talking about the sport that it just creates this hyperbole of just to get information out, to get clicks and get views and the things as compared to what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the beast in today's world, for sure. It's a very big source and area of frustration for players, coaches, general managers, whatever, because a high percentage of what is being talked about out there on various platforms, social media sites, etc., it's just opinion and hearsay, not backed by any fact, but it's presented as factual, and it's not presented as opinion. It's not a lot of times it's not written, in my opinion, this is what might take place. A lot of times it's just here's the facts. Sometimes the facts are accurate for the most part. Sometimes you wonder what the heck are they talking about. So that is an interesting dynamic. You just have to, as the players say in today's world, you hear players all the time in the locker room, block out the noise, man. Block out the outside noise, and it's these guys they're human beings. They're in the same age generation as, and have the same interests and desires and whatever else as most people in their 20s. So they're going to check out social media too. The thing is, you can't let it affect you. If you decide to go on social media and check it out, you're going to have to, again, be able to sort out what's fact and what's fiction. And the problem is, even when they know it's not fact, when the tidal wave of everybody swoops on this one, big take, everybody's looking for the take, whether there's truth to it or not. It's, oh man, what a take. Everybody starts piling on that take. Sometimes it can be hard to block the outside noise, even though that take is totally false.
All right, we're going to go sports with Strawberry Ice, a guy who we all know pretty
Yes.
well. What's your thoughts on the Bengals hopefully signing 2 guards? Do you think they can make that happen this offseason?
2 guards? I feel very comfortable saying that they will sign 1. Can they sign 2? Well, we'll have to see how the rest of the caponomics work out. Trey Hendrickson's still unsigned. I'd say he's a very big priority. I feel comfortable that they are targeting interior offensive linemen, guys that could potentially be out there. Get the right list that I formulated here at that guard position. Trey Smith has signed. Will Freeze has signed. Tevin Jenkins is out there. Chicago Bears guard, he's still out there. Matt Pryor is still out there, a fellow guard with the Chicago Bears. Kevin Zeitler re-signed a 1-year deal. James Daniels, Pittsburgh, he re-signed with the Steelers. Kai Becton, I really liked him. He re-upped. Zach Martin retired. Brandon Scherf, that's another guy. He's a little bit long in the tooth with Jacksonville. Jacksonville signed some interior offensive linemen. Brandon Scherf is out there. Patrick McCarry, he went from Baltimore to Jacksonville. Aaron Banks from the 49ers, we talked about him earlier. He went down to Jacksonville as well. Will Hernandez from Arizona is out there, as is his running mate. Evan Brown is out there, potentially. I'm not sure if Dalton Reisner is still out there with Minnesota or not, or if he re-upped. But there are candidates out there. And as you say, do you sign more than 1? I would venture to guess that position will be addressed, not just in free agency, but the draft as well. And if you sign a veteran, and draft, Bengals have 6 draft picks as we speak. They have 6 choices in the upcoming draft. They traded their 7th round choice for Khalil Herbert, who's no longer with the football team. But at this point in time, they will be working with 6. You'd think with those 6 draft picks at some point in time, the guard position will be addressed once, maybe twice. And then college free agency, if it's not addressed twice in the draft, college free agency, the best available guys remaining, they'll probably make a dent in that at the guard position as well. So, yeah, I feel comfortable that it's just not going to be a guy that they bring in to compete at the guard position. Will it be 2 veteran free agents? Not real sure that will be the case, but they will definitely address it.
Change a little subject here, Lap. Robert talks about, he asked, Lap, any plans to get Sam Hubbard in the booth with you and Dan this year? So I bring this up because, hey, I had the pleasure of covering Sam Hubbard when he was playing at Moeller High School, when he thought he was a lacrosse player, not a football player, and watched that career develop at Moeller, Ohio State, and with the Bengals. It was a joy to watch. What a class individual on and off the field.
Sam Hubbard can do anything he wants to. I mean, if he decides he wants to try broadcasting games, I'm sure that he'd be great. And open arm welcome. I mean, Sam Hubbard knows football. Sam Hubbard, one hellacious football player. He understands the game. He studies the game. He could do anything he wants in football. He can go into a front office if he wants to, in my opinion, at some point in time. He can broadcast it. He could coach if he decides to do that. I could see him being really good at any of those three things. I could see him also going out in the business world and being a success. He's already got a business that he started and is advancing and growing and developing. He's had a major impact in terms of charitable giving back to the community. I think he's going to keep that going. Hubbard's Cupboard is a big deal, and Sam's done great things in the community in terms of charitable giving. So, like was said, Dave said it so well. Moeller High School. I mean, this guy started out as a safety, worked out, grew linebacker, kept working out, growing defensive lineman.
Actually tight end. He actually, Urban looked at him as a tight end before they put him at DN.
Yeah, two-way guy. And he played his last play as a Cincinnati Bengals, a touchdown reception from Joe Burrow at the tight end position. So that's the last snap that Sam Hubbard took. How about that? You're a defensive end in the National Football League for all these years, and the last snap that you're on the football field before retirement is you run a route from the 3-yard line, and your best friend on the football team, Joe Burrow, great player, two guys that started their careers together at Ohio State, combined for a touchdown pass. Are you kidding me? That's like Disneyland, man. That's storybook, but it's a fact. It's reality. So obviously, you talk about an athlete with versatility and position versatility. Sam played defensive end. He played defensive tackle in some of their schematics. He played linebacker. He would drop as a linebacker from the defensive end position in his own blitz. Because of that versatility and overall athleticism, they could do anything with Sam Hubbard they wanted to do. Lou Anrumo loved him. He was a big factor in the Swiss Army knife. He was a Swiss Army knife. And on top of that, he could play fullback. He did that. Short yardage and goal line. Would be a lead blocker as a fullback. He'd line up as a tight end, short yardage and goal line formations. Sam Hubbard was a versatile, intelligent, dedicated, team-oriented football player. One of the best I've ever seen, man. Sam Hubbard, a career that he and everybody that is a part of Sam Hubbard's life should be proud of. And he's the first to give all of his coaches credit that he's ever worked with, credit for making him into the football player that he was.
All right, Lap, we always love to give special shout-outs. AP post, he's watching from France by way of Cincinnati. Houday. How
about that? Houday. I love France. I actually went to Paris. That was a heck of a thing. Saw the Eiffel Tower. The food was great. The beignet, that was the good stuff there. So, welcome. Je m'appelle David. Comment vous appelez-vous?
Now you're just showing off.
I had to take French in high school. I had to take a couple of years of French.
We can't divulge it here. There's going to be some big news surrounding you and education and football coming up soon. So people need to be staying tuned when that official announcement comes out too.
Yeah, there's going to be an opportunity to get involved with scholarships that we're going to be providing. First Star Logistics is on board big time with that, as they are with everything. And they, as a company, they are committed to making Cincinnati a better city, in every place they're located a better city, and they do business all over the country. But we're hoping to help young people continue their education, whether it be going into high school, maybe providing some high school opportunities to families that can't quite afford it, or they excelled in high school and going on to the college level, or They decided they're not going to college, but they want to learn a trade and go into trade school. Maybe we can provide opportunities for them in that regard as well. So stay tuned. There's a way for everybody to get involved and contribute. And as the old saying goes, if everybody does a little, nobody has to do a lot. And it's going to be called First and Goal. That's what the name of the foundation is going to be. And First Star Logistics is basically our point guard. They're handling everything, handling and distributing everything. So we're excited. There's no question.
All right, Lap. Unfortunately, today we have to cut this short because we do have an interview coming up shortly. But let's go to Natty Ron, who says, Dave, is there any concerns about not getting a veteran cornerback?
Well, there's still opportunity to get a veteran cornerback. There is a secondary market there. I do think that Al Golden and the staff feel like it's pretty good. There is some talent in that secondary that can be worked with. Everybody teaches different techniques. Everybody has different expectations with responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think they feel like the cupboard's bare. But will it be addressed? It could very well be addressed in free agency, just like it could be addressed in the draft. And we're talking about just because the first wave of free agents, the big dollar free agents, it's blown through, and there has been the initial stages of the secondary market. There still is a heavy secondary market out there, but at the cornerback position, I think Asante Samuel's still out there, Stephon Gilmore's still out there, Rasul Douglas is still out there. That's a guy that might have some value. Who knows? Maybe they bring in a veteran corner. And again, just like at the guard position, wherever there's a position need, it can be addressed by veteran free agency and the college draft. And the organization as a whole will make that decision on the best way to go. And obviously, the free agency, it's there's all 32 teams vying for that one guy. In the draft, you're hoping that somebody slides, or not all 32 teams are going for that are going for that particular player on that particular pick in the draft. I mean, sometimes it's easier to get at some point in time in the draft, address the position, than it is in free agency. Let's face it. And the economics are dramatically different as well. So they will be addressing the cornerback position just like they'll address the defensive tackle position, the offensive guard position. All that's going to be looked at. Those probably are the three biggies.
All right. Again, a final reminder. Again, be on the lookout. The third annual First Star Logistics Bengals draft party is April 25th from Great American Ballpark. The Handlebar, it is sold out. All the tickets went out within like hours. People remember the year one when we did it from Great American. Had a great time, and we all had a great time. Dave Lapham will be there. Joe Goodberry, Brad Johansson, along with some special guests. There will be prizes there as well as online. And so join us exclusively on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. And we'll kick off at 7 p.m. that night. And it'll be a great time by all. And we got to thank everybody that joined us today, because we did not put this. I mean, we put out just a little thing on X that we're going to do it around 2:00. So this kind of came up unexpectedly. Great turnout. Can't thank people enough for joining us today.
Yeah, I mean, it basically, the impetus was the two veteran wide receivers, coming back to the fold, reportedly, and that was the impetus. And we decided, hey, let's get out there and talk about that and other things with respect to free agency and the draft and everything else with this football team. The Cincinnati Bengals, their number one priority will continue to be re-sign your own. And if you play well for the Cincinnati Bengals and you basically outplay your contract, they're going to make sure you're taken care of. And if you fulfill a contract, they're going to give you a second contract. And that's finally, Dave, that's the last thing that I'd like to talk about, because as a former player, I know it's the case. The Cincinnati Bengals, when they say they're going to give you a 4-year contract, they are going to fulfill their obligation all 4 years of that contract. And the players want to do that too. The Cincinnati Bengals are not going to be letting you go because of cap emergencies, cap problems. If you're not a Cincinnati Bengal anymore, it's because they feel like they've got better football players, or, it's going to be a performance-related scenario. It's not going to be because, man, we blew that. We deferred that money, and that's too big a contract. He can't live up to that contract. That's not the case. The Bengals are the bottom line. Their contractual philosophy is and always will be that they're gonna keep that salary cap even, Steven. I mean, they're not going to get in salary cap jail. They're going to let you fulfill your contract. That's the bottom line. 3 things. They're going to put together an expensive roster. They're going to keep a healthy cap so they don't have to cut players for the wrong reasons. And those are the 2 biggest. And as a result of that, they're going to have very low dead money. And a franchise with low dead money is a franchise that's got a healthy salary cap and therefore a healthy franchise.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining Dave Lapham in the Trenches, presented by First Star Logistics. And we look forward to seeing you again in the trenches with Dave Lapham on Dave Lapham in the Trenches on YouTube, along with the First Star Media Group channel. Have a good one, everybody.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.